I thought you do. Impromptu agenda it is. Yep, I was navigating on this rule group plus duration seconds that you mentioned that has the rule group in it. I wonder why it just jolted up so high, and it's even for just the mapping rules, which should be fast, right?
Yes. Is this in Prometheus or Thanos?
Prometheus.
Interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a constant, right?
Yes,
Almost.
it's a static one, but there are a lot of them.
Exactly.
So maybe, yeah. Nice, nice find.
So shall we like try this?
I also wonder, maybe these ones don't need to be in Prometheus, they could be in Thanos.
Like the mapping?
Yeah, because we
Ah,
only aggregate by stage group in Thanos. That's where it's used. But yeah, still doesn't explain why it's so slow, why it should be slow. Wonder if
yeah, it
something else
was
was going on at the time.
man, it was almost instant, like every time, just before and after.
Maybe there was a deployment or something, like a rule groups being rolled out, something like that.
I'm not sure. Well, yeah, anyway, I was also gonna check whether the any CPU of memory got hit quite significantly during this period. If it doesn't, then I guess it makes sense to try with a longer interval for the recording rules.
Yeah, with this one, well, this is the duration that you're looking at, so this, like, it won't be affected. The duration is the duration, right? So this is weird, but it's a separate thing from what you're working on.
Mm. But I still don't really understand what the last duration means in this context because you have duration seconds, rule group duration seconds, and you have the last rule, yeah,
A rule group
rule group
duration
plus,
seconds is going to be an incremental counter. So every iteration is going to increment it. Um,
right?
so if you group by rule
All right,
group,
right, right.
then you're going to have from all Prometheus the same, like the sum, and then it's going to be an ever incrementing counter that you can then do a rate over. But the
Yep.
last duration seconds is a gauge that
All
uh,
right. It's just okay.
I've added something to the agenda because I see that Sam is on the call, and I think it might be something interesting for them to for you to look at. I don't know if you've seen the issue already. You link it. Basically, what they're discussing is part of what we're doing. Wait, let me clean up my screen so I can show what's going on. Uh, so here's the issue that I'm talking about. Um, this is basically preventing integer overflows, like for primary keys or whatever in the database. We have a column type with integer, but then we add a lot of jobs, it could run out when we hit that ceiling. So we want to monitor that and replace the type if necessary. We have that in Tamland for basically a very select number of tables. So the database team is working on expanding that to all tables. Great. They're proposing a system of alerting and notifying people of that is not Timeland, like that is works a little bit different. And I think Roger Wu had a proposal here, and I think we should maybe get in line, like get these things aligned so we can use one thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm consistently amazed by the stuff that gets proposed and Scalability saying, "Yeah, we already have that actually." You know, basically.
Yeah, and I just now saw that you're already in this conversation, so I don't need to. So that's great.
Yeah,
So
I think that one of the things I've been talking with Roger about is how do we actually tie some of the things they want to do together? Because in some of the data we're presenting for like the table size and cost and things like that, I think that's really great and a great start. But how do you tell the story to like some of the other folks in the company, maybe not completely engineering focused, of why that matters and connect the database teams, kind of abstract, well, we want 100 gigabyte tables and no bigger, to the metrics kind of we can expose and show to users. So if we have that, it's great. I think
Stephanie is working on that.
yeah. And any alerting we can add to make those things actionable is great. And I think the part of the problem here, right, is the other functions of the other teams don't know how much stuff we already have.
And we have a lot of stuff already, but we don't know what they actually want because we built something that we are currently using. So, like here, they're proposing 4 different thresholds. We currently have 2, and they're proposing a notification issue, whatever, when the threshold is breached, and we do a prediction of when a threshold is breached. So, like, I think we shouldn't we should avoid doing double work, but I don't know how.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one that's on my list to go back and look at and just kind of respond in that thread. But we do need to bring those things together. I think we have quite a lot of agency with what we've done already that seems to work. And I think the value add for the database team will be tying some of those things together. So if we can use the stuff we already have in Tamland to notify or make those things actionable when they need to be actioned, I think that's probably where we want to head overall, right? In presenting users with actionable information, as well as the kind of prediction. Because with the primary key overflows, if it stops working, it's a bit of a hard recovery.
The nice thing about this particular one is that it's very gradual. Like it's easy to predict, and the predictions are pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I think there's it's kind of the database team's problem to solve, right? In terms of you are going to overflow. What steps do you take to do about that? So there's probably some work there to figure out how to align those things best, and that's on my to-do list, if
If you
that's
need anything,
helpful.
yes, very. If you need anything from me, let me know. But I think yeah, we can figure something out. But we should also be mindful of what teams actually want. We have defined 2 thresholds now,
Mm-hmm.
and we allow customizing them, and everybody can actually customize them if they want. But we only have 2 thresholds, so maybe they want something more or more types of actions, or I haven't read entirely through, but now we just create an issue and we raise urgency as dates approach. But maybe they want something else.
I think it's kind of mainly what's laid out in that issue. I think and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we have a complete single approach to alerting and how we want to do that. Is that fair? Just across GitLab?
Yes, I think that's fair. We have most of the time, like historically, when we talk about alerting, it's always been alert the SRE on call to do something because something is burning down. And now we want to move that to the left some more, and then it's not always the most urgent thing they should look at. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think if we had a complete approach, and I'm not sure it's sensible to ever get to, there is just one approach to do it. We could just put it in there, but maybe we have to take a bit of a custom approach and see what works with the customers and what they engage with, and then make some decisions about whether to invest more heavily in that kind of alerting approach.
Yeah, and one thing that is difficult about this, specifically for capacity planning, is that we're actually having three stakeholders. For example, with the database, we've got us. We're building the capacity planning framework to predictions, and we made assumptions on what people want to be notified about. Then here we've got the database team who are responsible for the resource, and responsible for the resource, and they also want to serve their customers, which are the users of the database, and they want them to help do the right thing. So that's actually three levels that we need to get through here.
One thing, just whilst we're on the topic in the database team, that might be interesting is I think there's a case for service owners to have slightly different prediction levels or timelines. One of the things that I've talked about with Roger and with a couple of other folks is that for pieces of our core infrastructure like database that we need to vertically scale, they can see benefit of having quite a long prediction out, 12 months to 18 months to say, am I at least trending in the right track? Or, because database upgrade is a substantial piece of work, I want to be able to plan that early in my kind of planning cycle. And I don't know how hard that is, given all the Tamland stuff is plotted on a equal graph all the way down, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. Like now it's easy and it's nice, but if we can do let's open up Timeland. Can you still see my screen?
I think you stopped sharing. But for some of those service owners, if it's a matter of extend the prediction a bit for them, I think that would be a quick win and a good way to get buy-in to show that we care about what they want.
We have the separation by service here now. These are all the same graphs, and I like that it's the same graphs because you can correlate things, right? Like if you look at here async primary pool and CPU, and for example, they could have correlation, and then it's easy. It's nice if the graphs have the same kind of.
It's very sensible UX. I'd like, and graphs are hard to do and make usable. So,
but perhaps it might be worth considering having that per service. Like we use 1 year now there everywhere, but perhaps for the database we could use a year and a half, and then for these faster changing resources we have a different one, because the graphs are not on top of each other.
Yeah, and I think it's very correlated with the work that is required to shift direction substantially. So, on Postgres, that's significant. Maybe for a microservice, that's much easier. So you don't have to predict as far out.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Anything more anybody wants to add? then I think we can give everybody some time of their day back. Talk to you all later.
See you. Bye.